Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Education 101. I'm your host, Heather Leigh, and I am joined by Dr. Tiffany Frazier, my fabulous co-host. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great, and I'm really excited for tonight's episode.
Yes, this is something both you and I have experience in, and I'm so excited. Tonight, we are going to be talking about writing about the paranormal. We have 4 guests. 2 of them are here with us right now. The exciting thing is I have 3 fellow History Press authors joining us tonight. So it's kind of nice to talk to the same people who work for the company that I work for, writing books. So lots of fun. And before we get started, one thing I actually didn't even tell Tiffany yet. I got my contract today for my 8th book with History Press. It's going to be Haunted Texas Ghost Towns.
Nice.
I'm following the ghost town theme that I have. So I just signed that today, and that will be out next year, along with my Civil War Spirits of Florida coming out next year as well.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Any projects you're working on before we bring everybody in?
Oh, man. I think I might be the only indie author here on tonight's show, which is totally fine.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? Okay, good.
I see her in the background shaking her head.
She's like, no. Awesome. I am getting ready for the holidays, so my editing has kind of taken a back seat again, but I'm hoping that early next year, book 4 in my series, my Spirit Hunter series, is going to be out. That's the goal. So I have the notes back from the editor, just working through that. And
well, you'll have December off. So we're taking a break from Ghost Ed. For those who don't know, we may be on air. I'm waiting to hear back from Todd Bates. We're rescheduling him. We may have him the first week of December. After that, we will be off until January when we return with Reverend Sean Whittington.
Yes.
So he will be joining us again. Steve Crawford was supposed to join. He portrayed him in the Legion of Exorcists, but he can't make it because he is going to be on site filming, but we will have him later in the year. Okay. So before we take up the whole show, I guess we should bring in our guests.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Okay.
Good evening.
Welcome, Mark and Cyn. How are you guys doing today?
Great. How are you guys?
Good. Haven't seen either one of you in forever. It's great to see you.
Yeah. And as I say on my show, greetings, travelers. So welcome to this wonderful thing. I'm excited. So.
Awesome.
Yep. So I'm going to start off with the first question that I usually ask every guest that we have is, but it's going to be tweaked a little bit for the panel discussion today, is 1, introduce yourself. And 2, what attracted you to start writing about the paranormal? So whoever wants to go first.
Ladies first. Go ahead, Cyn.
I actually started editing first. So I was editing other people's books, and about the second one I did, the one I was editing for said, "When are you going to write your book?" And I said, "I'm not sure." He said, "It's time. You need to write it." And I did. So I just brought out number 7, and I'm working on 8, 9, and 10 right now.
Awesome.
Well, I'm Mark Muncy. I'm the host of the Eerie Travels podcast and TV show. I also write for History Press and recently write for Four Horsemen. And I started many moons ago, right out of high school. I'd been into the paranormal my whole life. I had correspondence with Hans Holzer when I was like 8, and met the Warrens when I was 9, and all that. So I was pretty much just the kid who wrote all these people letters and then would show up at their house when they'd let me. And so I'd always been fascinated by it. And then I worked with the late, great Charlie Carlson. I was an intern while he was doing Weird Florida. And when he passed, I was working on the follow-up many years later. And he said, "Hey, why don't you take the ball and run with it? I'm too sick and too old." And he passed away a couple years later. And that's when Eerie Florida came out. And that was, my contribution. So.
Awesome. This is a really important one because I think the balance between paranormal and storytelling is so important. So when you're writing about the paranormal, how do you balance that experience with like verifiable evidence or research or stories, whatever you're using as inspiration to tie into your work?
I'll start on that one then, because my goal was I was always folklore. in storytelling.
Yeah.
I grew up telling stories by the campfire and following ghost stories. My family had a cryptid that lived on our land, and I'd heard the stories hundreds of times. And then I had a weird experience that, drew me into this, where I saw something that looked like this weird thing that had the head of a man and the body of a big cat and a wooden leg that ran around and beat people up as it jumped from tree to tree. Of course, it had the stupid name of the bench leg, and because all these cryptids have terrible names. But then I saw it and I said, hey, I saw something like it. I don't know what I saw 100%. And that's why I'm always a big fan of, instead of calling it paranormal or supernatural, I like to call it what Shirley Jackson called it, preternatural. Stuff we don't understand yet. Hopefully someday we do. And so I chase the folklore, I chase the history, I chase the stories. But on the way, I'll tend to find, if there's a lot of folklore about an area, guess what? There's a paranormal team in that area, or a Bigfoot hunting team, or a UFO hunting team. And that's where I go with them. I'm not a Bigfoot hunter. I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm not a UFO hunter. But I go with the teams to get their story. And that's how I get the paranormal and get the history. And then I interview the witnesses and try to get first accounts, and then dig into historical archives, dig into whatever I can for the people who aren't here anymore. And then also, when you're dealing with folklore, you got to deal with indigenous history. You got to deal with, cultural history. So go to the actual people. Don't Wikipedia anything. Don't encyclopedia anything. If you haven't been to the area you're writing about, don't write about it, in my opinion, because it's just, you may be writing about a place that's been bulldozed, but it hasn't been reported yet. And, or is private property, and you'll get shot if you go there. So that's the other thing. Boots on the ground is important, in my opinion. But that's what I think there. So just separate. You got to have the fact, but the folklore is there, and one tends to lead to the other. If you find the facts in a spooky paranormal location, there's probably a story behind that too, and that's you blend the two, and suddenly you've got compelling stuff to write about.
Do you find that one will drive the other when you're writing?
Yeah, depending on the story. Sometimes the folklore leads, sometimes the history leads, and sometimes the paranormal leads because there is no history and no folklore. It doesn't make sense. And sometimes those are more fun. Like I said, that cryptid bench leg thing, I found a folklore story about it, which was really cool. But then I found some historical ties that kind of tied it in that I thought were cooler. But the story is just so goofy that I went with the goofy story and then put in the other stuff later. So
I love it. I love it.
And real quick, we do have a question actually coming from Mark's YouTube channel. Is this live? It is live. So
that's the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. That's a Doctor Who show that I panel guest on because I'm a big nerd, as you can tell around me. So thanks TARDIS crew for being on. They're huge.
Thank you for watching.
The most popular YouTube show on Doctor Who out there. I think they've got just shy of 100,000 subscribers. So, thanks for tuning in.
So we are live unless you're watching this after 10 o'clock Central Time today, which is the 19th. So after that, it will be replay. So the question I do have for you guys is, do you ever feel that a location chooses the author? Have you ever been drawn to a place repeatedly until you finally wrote about it?
That's number 10 for me. I'm going to write about the old hospital here in Lincoln County. It's been around since the early 1930s. It was a college for teachers before that. It was a boys' school before that. And after it became a hospital, it was added on to about 3 or 4 times. There's 5 basements in the place. Neither of them connect at all. They're all separate basements on the same level. They just never connect. And so it's just a maze of history in the place. It's a hotbed of activity. It's crazy haunted. So that's, it's also coming up next year. It's going to be the 25th anniversary of its closing. So I thought I better get that out next year. I think that's a good one.
Awesome.
For me, it was the May Stringer house in Brooksville, Florida. That place has just so much history and so many stories attached to it. It was just one of those, and it's just a beautiful place to go. And so many of the ghosts are tied to the objects that have been brought there, so they aren't part of the history of the house. So that's even more interesting on that. And the only other thing I can compare it to was Robert the Doll down in Key West. That guy he's the best. We love Robert. We don't talk bad about Robert. Robert is the best boy. And he got me a documentary on Travel Channel, so I owe him everything.
When you're writing about a real, I'm sorry, we have a question.
Oh no, you're fine. It's not a question. I'm just posting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, gang. Yeah.
When you're writing,
real quick. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No,
it popped up just after. Robin says, "Good evening. Have you ever experienced any kind of paranormal, spooky stuff happen to you while you were typing away?"
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I've actually had spirits come through while I'm working on EVPs that someone sent me from an email. So they can manipulate any kind of energy to get to you. So you always need to be protected when you're working on anything paranormal, writing. You just never know what'll happen.
Energy is energy. It can be anywhere, anything. For us, I got so many books and so many things around here. I had a psychic came into the house one time and said that my books are so happy to be together because I have hundreds of thousands of books over there. And so he was saying that the books are all, enjoying time with each other and all that. And the day after he left, I was sitting there typing, and 3 or 4 books literally flew off the shelf over my shoulder here and just landed on the floor beside me. And I was like, oh, that's, they're happy to let me know that they're happy, I guess. And just carefully put them back on the shelf. And that's probably the spookiest thing I've had happen here.
Wow. I haven't had that happen yet. I'm so close to the books. Don't fly off the shelf.
Power of words. Power of words.
I know, right? When you're writing about haunted locations, how do you ensure that you're respecting the lore or the history, but at the same time, you're wanting to weave that into your story? How do you go about that? That could be a little tough, I found, for myself sometimes. So how do you guys go about that?
Like I said, I go back to first source. You've got to go primary source. Got to go back to that first witness if you can. You got to go back to those first reports. You got to read the crazy newspapers. I mean, used to have to go dig in the microfiche and all that. Thank you, newspapers.com and some of those other sources now that make it a heck of a lot easier than digging through historical archives. But you still do that if you can, because they don't document everything. But also, like I said, be there. Go to the location. Don't just type, so you can actually get a feel for the place. It amazes me how many times I'll write a thing, I'll have my notes typed up, and I'll go back to a place that I haven't been since I was a kid, and it's completely changed and it's completely different. And now I'm like, oh, I have to rewrite this completely. Plus, like I said, if you're talking about anything cultural, get someone from that culture. Don't just assume. And if somebody says, hey, these strange petroglyphs mean nothing because the natives of this area didn't have a language. And my favorite, I'll name drop here, Al Goingback. If you guys know Al, he's a Bram Stoker winner. He's an amazing author. He's a medicine man of the Seminole tribe. But when I go to him with something like that, I was like, hey, they told me these petroglyphs are, natives didn't have a written language. He's like, who told you that? A white guy? So that's what you got to know. It's like, okay, we just don't understand that language. So, and that's the kind of thing you got to be so sensitive about that. And also any places like murders and dark history and all that, anything with slavery or anything, a touchy subject, talk about the victims first. Don't glorify the serial killer. Don't glorify the murderer. I mean, you got to put him in the story, but don't, take it from the victim standpoint. That's you got to. Otherwise, you're disrespecting the fallen.
Mm-hmm.
And I started out writing about our investigations, Elk Valley Paranormal, my group. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of residential, old businesses that had been around forever that are still in business, just having things happen around. And, the ones that wanted to remain anonymous because they were still in business, or they didn't want Aunt Jane down the road knowing that they had told on the family history, so names had to be changed to protect the innocent, things like that. So, but that was getting firsthand knowledge of the people that lived in the places, people that worked in the places, going back through history as far as how long had it been in business, how many owners had been there, what was it before, just different things like that. So it's all of its history tied into it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Quick question. What was the defining moment in your lives that influenced you to start writing about the paranormal?
For me, it was that childhood incident of just my earliest memory is seeing some dark shape in the attic of our original house. Like I was like 5, and it's still with red beady eyes. It's still stuck with me. No idea what it was, but that drew me to the dark and spooky side of things, and always just following up. And then again, being a nerd during the Satanic Panic, you couldn't read Tolkien, you couldn't read The Hobbit. I was in the Bible Belt. I was in the buckle of the Bible Belt in West Virginia. I was in trouble just reading books. But thankfully, the paranormal section, they didn't care about that. You could read books about Bigfoot, UFOs, Loch Ness Monster, and then In Search Of came on TV. I was allowed to watch that. I wasn't allowed to watch Star Trek or Dark Shadows, but I could watch that. And then, and so that was my gateway. And then that was also, I was like, this is what I want to do. And I wrote Hans Holzer a letter because the publisher's address was in the beginning of the book. I started a correspondence with him, and then he introduced me to some others via mail. And that was my pride and joy collection, sadly destroyed in a hurricane. Still, that spurred me, because they were all like, hey, when you do this stuff, write it down, jot it down, document. And that's what built this. And so when I finally started writing about it was high school. And when I was like, and I found out, I get paid to do this. All right.
I had to be pushed into it. I was
Really?
scared. Oh. I was scared. Can I write a book? Can I really do this and self-publish? Can I do this? And so I kept editing. And that's when my friend Mark said, you need to write. You just need to go ahead, just jump off the cliff, do it. And I'm so glad I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so glad he talked me into it, gave me the
I'm so glad too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's basically what I told Heather. She called me up about a year or so ago to talk to me about self-publishing.
And I still haven't done anything with it.
And I basically told her the same thing. I was like, she told me the premise of the story, and I was like, girl, you just got to do it.
Heather has a story in the book I just brought out, The Signs 2.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's Not Goodbye 2, More Signs from Beyond. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm still working on that one that we talked about. I'm just
I know.
not sending it in yet. I need to. It's the whole self-publishing thing that I'm leery about, I guess. The old school way of thinking, you have to go through an agent or a publisher. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the best decision I ever made. Yeah.
Me too.
I think especially in writing certain genres like paranormal, because when you go through a publisher with certain genres, they expect certain things, and they're going to force you to change your story because that's what they think they can sell.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that, then going indie is the way to go, because nobody can tell you how to write your story. Nobody except you has, of course you'll have an editor, but other than that, they can't be like, we don't like this plot, we need to completely change it, it doesn't make sense, or if you don't write it this way, or if this character doesn't evolve this way, then we're not going to publish it.
Yeah. The exact book that I shared with you, I sent it to a publisher, they sent it back to me, and they wanted me to remove the main character.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I can't, he was the narrator, it was like, no.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, because if they're not going to publish something, and this is not to paint any publisher in bad light, it's just that they're only going to publish a book that they know they can sell and make money off of. That's because that's their business, right? So it has to follow a certain set of rules for them.
But you have to be true to you.
You do.
And you have to write your story the way you feel it needs to come across.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
The best advice I've gotten since starting all this was Teal Gray told me, she actually published 4 of my short stories in one of her books. And that gave me a little bit closer to, okay, I got 4, maybe I can fix some more and make a book. And I did. But I told her, I said, I don't know if I'm getting my wording across right. I don't know if I need to do this or that. She goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Just tell the story like you're telling me your story. Just tell me the story. That's it.
Just get it out. Yeah.
I write it out like I'm telling you the story. And honestly, that's the best advice I've gotten.
Yep. Okay.
I haven't done fiction in forever, so I haven't had to have that problem. But talked to Jonathan Mayberry at DragonCon last year, and he was going off on some publisher was trying to have him change a completely different story. And then that's the one he went to a different publisher, and that became V Wars, which became a Netflix series. So you never know. So sometimes they don't know what they're talking about. Sometimes they do. So
sometimes they do. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So what is the most compelling piece of evidence you've personally encountered that ended up in one of your books?
Wow. I've got to say, this happened before I was actually writing the books. I was running a haunted attraction in St. Petersburg, Florida, called Hellview Cemetery. And we based it all off local lore and legends. That was where I just kept collecting stories. And I was being a dad at the time. So I was a single dad, so I couldn't write books. But I could build a haunted house in my backyard. But one of the days they were closing in Clearwater, the Bellevue Biltmore Hotel. They were going to tear it down. Thankfully, they were able to save part of it, but they did tear down a couple parts of it. But one of the buildings there supposedly had this ghost on the 3rd floor of a bellhop that walks down the hall. And I really wanted to see that ghost. And if they're tearing down the building, we got to go. But also, as I was running a haunted house, I'm like, hey, they're going to be auctioning off all this old hotel stuff. So maybe I can get some creepy stuff for the haunted house. And I went there, and it was crazy. They were doing a Gatsby party. So everybody was dressed in 20s garb, and they had some bellhops. And I was like, oh, okay, great. That's perfect. They know the story. They're acting it out. But one of the local paranormal teams showed up that I was friends with, and Spirits of Tampa Bay with Dr. Brandy Stark. And she had a couple of her guys there, and we're all like, hey, let's go up to the 3rd floor before they close it so we can see if the ghost is there. And they had cameras, they had equipment, they had all this stuff. And we're going to go up on the 3rd floor. We're going to set up the camera down at the end of the hall where he supposedly comes out of the room. And we get off the elevator, and right at the end of the elevator is the bellhop coming out of the room. And we're like, oh, they knew somebody was going to come up here. Good job. And the guy walks by and he nods at us. And I'm like, wow, that was great. And Brandy's like, yeah, that was incredible. And then the girl next to us goes, what are you guys talking about? She didn't see him.
Oh no.
She didn't see him. And we didn't have the
Wow.
cameras going. We didn't have any of the equipment going. We were going to set up at the end of the hall. And I'm like, okay, we got punked. I mean, I still get goosebumps telling the story. We got punked. We got, some guy down there is bellhop. So I went back downstairs to try to figure out which bellhop got us. And I'm asking all of them. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew anything about it. I still don't know 100% that it was what we saw, but that's whenever somebody says, well, I don't believe in ghosts, I've never seen one. I'm like, that guy was solid. There was nothing spiritual or anything weird about him. I've seen other things that are kind of like black and white and faded and stuff like that. But that guy, I don't know what that was. Again, preternatural stuff we don't understand yet. So that wound up in a book 5-10 years later when I wrote Creepy Florida. I finally decided, all right, Bellevue Biltmore's still around. It didn't get bulldozed. They've reopened. I can put it in a book again. So
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
best
awesome.
Evidence I got, my own eyes.
Yeah.
The best I've gotten is my nephew actually talking to me. We lost Wyatt in 2022, April 6, 2022. He was only 19 and a half. Now, he was my mini-me, and I was training him to be my videographer for Elk Valley. And after he passed, that following February, I was recording my sister telling me a story that had to have divine intervention, if not Wyatt, helping put the pieces together to make this thing happen. So while she was telling me the story, he spoke to us. We didn't hear it at the time. But when and it took me a couple of months to work up the courage to listen to the story again. They're so raw that they hurt again and again. So I had to work up the courage to listen to the story and transcribe it. So 6 minutes and 42 seconds in, I hear Wyatt say, "Did you hear that?" And he had just tapped a couple of times on something. Thing is, he had heard my co-founder so many times on investigations say, if there's anybody here that can talk to us, get as close as you can to that red dot, speak as loudly as you can, and hopefully we'll be able to hear you when we get home. And he did exactly that. So his story is in the Signs 2 book too. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And I've got that saved on everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
Yep.
Everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I know my most compelling was actually one of my first experiences. And even though my next book next year is about Florida Civil War ghosts, I do talk about in the introduction about my experience in Gettysburg. So that's kind of, and then of course in Cyn's book, I talk about my interactions with my grandfather. That kind of launched me on the path that I'm on. Yeah.
It's a great story.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Robin has a quick question, and I haven't tried this, but have any of you had any luck accessing information from the government FOIA? When she does it, she gets no response.
I've heard that happen a lot.
It is very hit or miss. You have to learn how to word it properly. Like certain things. One of the things we've been researching is what they call where it's like a panther sighting in an area where there shouldn't be any panthers. We've been doing that up here in the Smoky Mountains, a little further north, where there shouldn't be any things but bobcats and and mountain lions and stuff like that. But they're not. We're seeing a lot of stories about black cats and panthers and maybe even like Florida panthers way up here. Mm-hmm. And if you ask Freedom of Information Act about it, they go, nope, don't know what you're talking about. But if you ask for an ABC, which is alien big cat, they'll send you a couple of reports where they've seen them. You have to know the proper terms. It's like UAP. If you ask for UFOs, you got nothing. Ask about UAPs, you'll get a few things. But then there are some where they shut you down. You ask about Bigfoot, nothing. Nowhere, nothing. even though we know
Interesting.
people report it to park rangers. We have the dates, we have the original people, we have their emails and their phone numbers, but nope, we don't know what you're talking about. We were really trying very hard. There's an old legend in North Florida, the Ocheesee Pond Wild Man. We have newspaper articles about this thing. It got caught. A posse caught it. They sent it to the governor, and they chained it in the back of a stagecoach. There's a great illustration from the newspaper of this thing looking like King Kong being dragged behind a stagecoach with guys with pitchforks. And we have the records of it arriving at the governor's mansion. We have the report that the governor said, "What the hell is this?" and sent it to the Florida Insane Asylum, which is right there, which is now the Florida State Hospital. But we have it being admitted, and then that's it. We have a report of its death the next day. That's all we've got. But we were trying to figure out, okay, we need just some more records. What happened? We'd like those. And again, they are state records. So you write Freedom of Information Act. They're like, oh, nope, sorry. We got nothing, except that's what we were able to get, was that the governor accepted it, sent to the asylum. That's all we were able to get. And again, we're like, okay, so then let's ask about wild man. All right, there's no reports of wild men. There's no reports of Bigfoot. But you got to the right office in Florida, and they said, oh, yeah, we do have reports on it, but you have to submit them individually. Okay, well, how many reports do you have on them? 10,000. Okay, so 10,000 Bigfoot reports. Can you just send us one of them? Like, oh, no, you have to order all 10,000, and it's $100 a piece.
Oh.
What?
So Stacy Brown from Finding Bigfoot is trying to do a crowdfunding so we can get the $100,000 to request every one of them, which is
Holy.
Who knows?
That is
it's
crazy.
a long chase, but hopefully it turns out something. But
Yeah, hopefully you guys
That's
don't
just
send her the
neat.
money, and then they say, nope, don't have anything.
yeah, exactly. They'll send us
Right.
a bunch of blacked out pages. That was
Right.
one more Freedom of Information Act. That actually turned out useful was in Tampa. The same night as the Flatwoods monster incident up in West Virginia, there was a strange accident in Tampa Bay involving a flight trainer program. And it was a jet had come from Pensacola to Tampa. It was an early jet. It was a trainer. And some reason it landed in MacDill and then scrambled again. Why was it scrambled after it had just done this long training flight? This is a training thing. Why is it scrambling? And then it crashed, supposedly in the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
But then years later, they told the family, both pilots are lost. Sorry, that's it. But years later, they sent the family, oh, our records were wrong. They're buried in Arcadia, Florida, where they crashed. Okay, well, they were over the Gulf. Oh, no, they're over in Arcadia. We've had funerals for these guys with no bodies, and they've apparently been here all along. So we did Freedom of Information Act for that day at MacDill, just anything we could get on the reports. Turns out there was a red alert. Turns out they were tracking something flying up from Fort Myers area and was tracking through Tampa. So maybe something got up there, something tagged something, and maybe that winds up crashing in Flatwoods later that day. If you follow the line, it does. But that's all the stuff we got from Freedom of Information Act. We spent $100 getting the flyer, getting the features and everything. Black lines with just a couple bits, of dates and times. Well, what is it? No one knows. So it's
That is insane.
That's
something
infuriating.
Yeah, and that's when you go, okay, maybe there is some of these guys with the tinfoil hats, maybe making some sense. So,
Yeah. Well, to piggyback off of that question, I have one that kind of touches on that too. How do you handle gaps in historical records then? Like, how do you go about that? How do you fill in those gaps?
It's where the folklore falls in.
Yeah.
That's where the storytelling falls in, because you have to go. And you can even say, when you're writing paranormal, you go, we don't know.
Yeah.
We hope this is what we think happened. This is what we've been told happened. It's that there was an 1830s thing I'm doing for Eerie Travels. We're doing a thing on this old Christmas carol that was big in the Victorian times called The Mistletoe Bride. I don't know if you
I've
guys
heard of
know that one, or The Mistletoe
Heard of
Bough.
it.
And it's this bride basically plays hide and go seek after her wedding, and she disappears. And then they find her 2 years later in a chest. It's terrible. But there's a Christmas Carol about it. And there are 4 buildings in England. I've been to 3 of them that all claim that they're the original location. And they all have the chest on display that she was supposedly hiding in. They can't all be the place.
Yeah.
And then you dig in and you find the folklore goes back hundreds of years before the Victorian era. And there was a version of it in Italy in the early 1800s. There's a version of it in Germany from the late 1700s. Well, where does it start? Where does it go? But again, that's where we learn folk tales and storytelling. Yep. When you're telling the ghost story at the Girl Scout camp or Boy Scout camp, and you say, and then the man with the hook hand comes and gets you, you don't say, and it happened in Maryland. You say, right here. Mm-hmm. And then that's the story. Suddenly they tell the story. It happened here. Next people tell the story. It happened here. So that's where I think it all goes. But that's, again, you're filling in the gaps.
Yeah.
And you're doing as best you can. And you have to say that. You can't just say, this is how it happened. You have to say, this is how we think it happened. That's your little gap to get out of trouble.
Yeah.
Hope that answers.
It does. Thank you. Cyn, how about you? Do you ever feel, or have you ever run into historical data where you're just like, how am I gonna fix this hole here?
I have not run into that yet. Just basically because I've concentrated on investigations of my team. The last couple of books, the Signs book, I've gotten information from people telling me about things that have happened to them. Mm-hmm. So I've not had to run into that yet, but I have a feeling I'm going to run into that a little bit with the old hospital, as far as the very beginning, because it's hard to find any information on the old hospital online. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a deep dive at the library and checking into that microfiche and all that kind of stuff, old newspaper, see if I can find anything from when they actually started.
Your local historical society is a treasure.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Always. That's for Dozier School. We had to dig into the historical society up there more than, because the records were just thrown away. They didn't care. And, that's just the way it is sometimes.
I know from my current book, it's fiction, but my editor, I was like, is this okay? And she's like, absolutely. I wrote a character into the very end of the book. He comes in to kind of help save the day, but he's a detective. But I've never been a detective, so I don't know how they're supposed to work. So I'm giving him all this paranormal stuff to take him out of his element of detective work. And she goes, you did it right. She goes, you always give them something that they have no experience doing, because that's your excuse. He doesn't know what to do. It's paranormal. He can do whatever you want him to do. So I'm going to run with this.
Fish out of water. That's the key. And Michael Crichton's big key was just throw just enough science. It can be stupid science.
Yeah.
Science in Jurassic Park does not work. It's junk science.
Yeah.
But everybody thinks, oh, I'm so smart. I figured this out. And I feel smart with this. That happens a lot with paranormal writing. You just want them to go, oh, that makes so much sense. That's the folklore and history match, and the paranormal matches. I feel smart. And that's how the TV shows make them feel, honestly, it's remember, reality and television are two different things, gang.
Yeah.
Yep. So earlier we were talking about like writing from the victim standpoint and making sure that we're sensitive. So one question I did have is, have you ever encountered a story that's too sensitive, too personal, or ethically complicated to publish? And did you or did you not publish it?
I can safely say yes. When I was writing about Dozier, the Dozier School, that was just coming to light how terrible it was. And there's some stories there that we just could not print at all. And History Press was God bless them. They were like, which ones do you want to put in, which ones you don't? And I'm like, yep, exactly. There's some that aren't going to make the cut. That they were like, well, why don't you write about this? I'm like, nope, that one I can't. And and that place is just terrifying. And still, we're uncovering more and more about that. Dr. Kimberly from USF is still doing investigations of that. She's been doing that for 15 years, and we keep uncovering more and more dark stuff. So there were bits there that just, nope, sorry, can't write about them. I mean, I've wrote about the Rosewood Massacre. I've written about all these Civil War terrible things in Appalachia, Erie, Appalachia. I wrote about a ton of horrifying things, but Dozier, top of the heap, and I could write about a bunch of it. But and if you want to know more, go to thewhitehouseboys.org and read their stories. If you ever want to hear the worst of humanity, read that. That'll terrify you.
Yeah.
I've not run into that myself. I've had people that have written to me and said, I have a story I would love for you to read, and then let me read it. And then they say, oh, I've decided I can't let you tell that. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not telling it then.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. So some people will say, if I can remain anonymous and the whole town is anonymous, everything about it is anonymous, you can use my story. Mm-hmm. But I've had one girl last year. She said, I'm not sure if I'm ready to get this out. And it was very sensitive to her, extremely sensitive. And she decided, no, I'm just not ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we encountered that. We're working on a collaboration with the Hatman Project and Project Umbra. And we have over, I think we're up to 150 stories that people have sent to us about their personal experiences with the Hatman. Mm. And I'd say about 75% of those, they've requested to be anonymous.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they're willing to let us share their stories to help others, but they don't want their names tied to it.
Yeah. We get so many listener tales on our Eerie Travels episodes where people have encounters with stuff like that. That's just like, they're like, please, can you just keep us anonymous? But we want our story out there to see if somebody has had something similar or something like that. We'd like some feedback. And it's like, of course, we're happy to do that. Now, you're funny you mentioned Hatman. We are one of our theories that's been going on because we have so many Hatman stories and so many ladies in white that the story we think is that they're dating. And so one of our fans, she's the great Destiny Beard. She does our music for our podcast. She's been an early fan. We've been a fan of hers, so it worked out great. She just wrote a song about the Hatman and the lady in white dating. So it for Halloween, it was amazing. It's beautiful. So.
Yeah. The one thing in our research that we've done, because we've done deep dives and we've actually taken maps and we put paranormal encounters with missing 411, and we're noticing Hatman encounters are coinciding with missing 411 cases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We have several that are paired together. So
my only problem with missing 411, I love Dave. Dave's a great guy. Dave Pilates is amazing. But some of his books, he's changed the facts. I'm like, you're a cop. Yeah. Don't change the facts. You know better than that. I mean, it makes a better story, but don't try to pass that off as reality. Again, television versus reality, but that's in his books. I was a little upset that it was in his books. I called him out on it, and we stayed friends. We're still friends, but But my only problem also with that is, yes, the Hatman sightings, the Bigfoot sightings, the missing 411 sightings, they all match, but that's also where all the people live. If you look at it, because there's none out here in the desert, and there's none up in the Dakotas, there's none over here. Yeah, because nobody lives there, so they can't see it. They're probably still there, right? Nobody's reporting it, and that's why when you look at those maps, I'm like,
and that's where you have to filter fact from fiction when you do the research. Yeah, there's a couple 100%. That we've looked at it and we're like, nope. We're not even going to look into that one.
We get some that I'm sure some people have sent us just some AI things or something that they've read off Reddit, and we just read it thinking, oh yeah, this is a listener tale. I'm sure a couple of them have slipped through the cracks, but that's the problem with doing podcasts and live shows. You never know. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes for entertainment though. So
and when you're doing books, you can vet it. That's the key.
How do you guys keep your writing engaging while trying to explain the whole paranormal side? In sometimes talking about the paranormal can be a little bit boring, especially when you're talking about investigating. It's not always jump scares and noises and knocking and all that. So how do you keep it engaging for your readers while still staying truthful to the field?
I really wanted my third book to be my first one, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. It was about all of the voices I had caught, because I love audio. I love the audio. I love finding the EVPs, and Elk Valley Paranormal, EVP for short. So it was just, I'm just an audio person, but it took me a couple of years to get it up and running. And when I finally wrote that third book, I fixed it. So it's all about the electronic voices I have found during my investigations, and from funny to menacing to, just downright hysterical. There was one, this little old man told me, "I've got better things to do than to follow you around all night." That kind of thing. And
I love it.
I wanted people to be able to listen to those when they were reading about them. So you can go on my website and listen to all of them now.
Oh,
There's
awesome.
over 100. So, but it took me a while to figure that out. So that's the one I think I'm most proud of.
Yeah, that's really clever to provide those on your website so people can they could put what they're reading to a voice.
Yeah.
Or to actually hear it, because so many people have never even heard a genuine EVP.
Yep.
So that's really awesome.
For me, keeping it engaging is trying to just, if I find injecting humor sometimes, because horror and humor go so hand in hand. Because you always, after you're scared, you start laughing. Sometimes when you realize I've survived. It's and so I like punching things with humor. That's me. I like when I'm reading something, I like a little humor in there. But also when it does start dragging it, because when I was doing Creepy Florida, which was basically just a listing of every haunted location and what goes on there, you get so tired as a writer. You get so tired of going, there's a dark shape. You hear a laugh. You hear a children's laugh. You hear a lady in white, a man in black. You're just like, oh my God, if I have to write that one more time, I'm writing about 2,000 places. I do not need to write that one more time. So as a writer, you start playing games with it, and the spooky, try to make it a little spookier, a little scarier, sometimes a little more humorous. Like the one place where you smell bacon and eggs in the morning, and the scariest part is there's no bacon and eggs. The ghost is terrible. He ruined it. So that sort of thing. Keep it engaging for yourself, and the readers will enjoy it too. So.
Yeah.
And then, have either one of you ever uncovered a piece of forgotten history that helped explain a haunting?
At Hellsbar Dam, that's in Guild, Tennessee. It was built before the Nickajack Dam was built. It supposedly is cursed by Native Americans because the white man came in and demolished their land. And they tried to move as many of the graves as they could. The ones that they couldn't get in contact with, they couldn't do anything about. So they flooded what was left. You can still see some of the tombstones sticking up out of the water. But we were actually asked to help with a public hunt. And my friend and I were sitting in the crossroads. We were explaining how we caught EVPs, what we did, how we caught the different voices, and how we went through analyzing and that kind of thing. We had been through 2 groups. We were waiting for a couple more to come through, and Matthew had taken a break and gone outside. I stayed in the crossroads, and going through my audio, trying to see if I heard anything. And he came back in just a few minutes and said, "Cyn, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Are you okay?" He goes, "You need to come over here." And he was just standing 15 feet away on the other side of the crossroads. And I got up and walked over. He said, "Turn around." My chair was engulfed in this red fog. I didn't know I was sitting in it, had no idea, but you could look at it, and we watched it just kind of go backwards, and we followed it until it dissipated. It was not there. So one of the things we got that night was a strange sing-song chant kind of thing. Couldn't figure it out. I asked everybody. I asked military people because it sounded almost like a military cadence. Nobody knew anything about it. Couldn't figure it out. 3 or 4 years later, I'm talking to Mark Elliott Fultz on the phone. He's the one that does the covers of my books. He was the one I was editing for before I started writing my own. And we were talking about going back to Hell's Bar to do some experiments. And I said, there's still that EVP I can't figure out. And he said, "Send it to me." And I did. He called me immediately. He said, "Those are the Indians I'm telling you about. Those are those native Indians, the ones long ago. They were very short. They had like pie-shaped faces. They had black and white paint on their faces, a little bit of red. But they're there if there's a red fog. They're starting to manifest." And I was like, "Oh my God." I had not told him anything about the red fog.
Wow.
So that was an amazing, oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. For us, it was, there's a Cow Prairie Cemetery in the middle of Florida. They were going to bulldoze it to build a gas station for the villages. And we were there to document it. And I started looking into the history, and I'm like, I think this is a little older than they thought, because they knew they had some Civil War graves there, and they were going to move them over to the Florida National Cemetery, not too far from there. And the whole stink about the Florida National Cemetery was the native tribes, the Seminole tribe, said that they had burial grounds there. And they're like, "Oh, no, it's on the other side of the National Cemetery. We'll stop where the native burial grounds are." And the Seminole were like, "It's more by the Dade battlefield, which is not too far from Cow Prairie Cemetery." And they were like, no, we've done historical dives. Sorry, you guys are mistaken. It's their history. They know. Yeah. The Cherokee, they know, and the Seminole know, and all these tribes know, whatever. But and they're like, "Oh, we built the interstate right through there." And they surveyed and never saw anything. Yeah, that was in the 50s. They didn't care about that stuff then. They were building an interstate. That's all they cared about. Build the interstate system. So we got there, and I was there because there's ghost stories about that cemetery. I wanted to know, but there's supposedly a pioneer stuff there. It's an old pioneer cemetery that Civil War guys were buried in, later. So that makes sense. But we knew it was bigger than the little cemetery, but we couldn't prove it because there's only so many documented burials there. But we know it's bigger. So we finally got ground penetrating radar out there. Sure enough, there's graves beyond the fencing. And then a little further, we find graves of seated graves, native graves. So it is a burial ground. And we were like, okay, they were right. And it goes right up to the edge of the interstate. So it's obviously under the interstate. They just didn't tell anybody that they found it and everything. But that's where we were able to save that cemetery, because now it's, part of the Seminole tribe's land now, and they can't build a gas station for the villages there.
Right.
And they're also exploring it and trying to document more of the other graves. We think there's even some early post-Revolutionary War settlers there, some very early, Florida settlements from the European standpoint, but we don't know how big or how old that is. So we think Tocabega might even be there, some of the early Florida tribes. Who knows?
No.
So
Yeah.
Wow.
Question from Robin. This is open to anyone. Would you ever consider writing a children's book?
I have.
Some
I
people say all my
would.
books are children's books.
I think most of that would be illustration.
That's my point. I have 5 that I wrote 15 years ago, and I read at my son's school. However, I didn't have anybody to illustrate them, so they got shelved, and because no publisher would take them without the illustrations. And
Right. Yeah.
I took an art class in college, and my professor told me he gave me an A because I showed up every day and tried, but to never take another one of his classes again. So
Oh,
it
my
goes to show that
goodness.
I can't do it.
Oh no!
So if anyone wants to help illustrate, reach out to me. But yeah, I have. And then I know History Press turned 2 of my books. I didn't write them, but they turned 2 of my books into a children's book.
Yeah, they've done that. 2 of mine too. And that's like, some people say my books are children's books. And again, I couldn't afford an illustrator, so I married one. And my lovely wife, she illustrates all our books. And
Nice.
She's the talent. I just do words. And but yeah, we've been asked a couple times if we were going to do a full children's book, and I don't know if I have that in me, because I like writing way spooky. And as a kid, I read way beyond my reading group age.
So did
So
I.
for me, a children's book is what I write. So
Yeah. My daughter keeps asking to read my work. I write romance. I'm like, you can't.
And then they smooched. That's all you got to say.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought about writing just, obviously under a different pen name, and just sticking to like just folklore and stories, and just make it child friendly, because, and also bring in the investigation part, and kind of weave that in there so that kids can understand it, because I wish I had something like that to read when I was growing up, because really all I had, nobody knew I was into it. I had to like sneak away and watch KQED, and watch sightings. That's how that's what fed my intrigue in the field. And I wish I had some kind of book like that, where it talked about, I'm getting ideas just thinking about it, like a group of kids go on a ghost hunt, and they have all this equipment, and this is how you use it, so I have thought about it, but again, I don't have an illustrator, so that would be.
I talk to a lot of schools. I get invited to talk to a lot of schools. I zoom in to classes all over. I just did one in UK earlier this week.
Oh wow!
And, talking about Florida folklore, and I did one talking about Appalachian folklore. And so it's great that these kids are learning it and stuff. I talked to this one school. They had me talk to their every gifted program from 1st grade up to 7th grade. And it was very cool, because they were like, can you tailor it younger and younger? I'm like, no problem. I got this. And they were even, some of those kids in those early grades were just like, I'm like, I got to talk about ghosts. Is that okay? And one girl was like, nope, I'm out. I'm like, okay, yeah, sorry. And they're like, no, it's okay. She's fine. And then the rest of the kids were like, oh my gosh, tell us this. We want to know about Mothman. We want to know about Slender Man. We want to know about all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm happy to talk. And it's just, I love that is a thing now. Kids love the paranormal. I've monster kids just grew up. Now we're here, and now there's the next gen out there, but they usually do it on TikTok and Instagram. I'm just happy that they were happy to talk to an author about it. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome.
I remember growing up, we weren't allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, I was not. Yeah. Yeah. It was like, you just don't go there. Most of my family doesn't even know what I do.
My family were good with ghosts and Bigfoot and all that, but if you talked about, Dungeons and Dragons, you were the devil. So that was
wow.
Star Trek. What's wrong with what's satanic about Star Trek? I don't know, but it was satanic. But we saw Bigfoot last week. And your grandma saw a ghost, the other day. She was talking to it. So,
wow. What's your process for? Oop, that is not the question I wanted to ask. Sorry, hold on. I don't know which one I was clicking on, but how do you separate your personal belief from what you're trying to write, because that can be hard. It can be hard to not weave in what you personally believe. It's really hard to stay biased sometimes, or unbiased sometimes. So how do you make sure you do?
It's certainly harder on the podcast because we get we interview so many people. We interview, Bigfoot hunters, ghost hunters. I interviewed a guy who was part of the secret space program and has been fighting for, hundreds of years psychically and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, and apparently the Enterprise is real and he's served on it and stuff like that. And it's all disinformation, that sort of thing. I'm like, I really, really want to, take this seriously, but part of me is just like going, I don't know. But, where do I draw the line between a guy telling me he's chasing Dogman to, or was chased by Dogman, to a guy who served on the Enterprise? There is a fine line, and that is when the show, we take them at their word, and we tell everybody we don't know. We're taking them what they tell us. We're not vetting it. We're just taking it as it is. Now, as for the books and stuff, when I'm writing, there's some things that I have to write about that are completely against what I personally believe, but I have to tune it out to report it. I kind of take it from a journalism standpoint. I'm trying to remain unbiased and all that. And that's definitely something as a writer I recommend is don't talk politics. You're a writer. Yeah. Don't put politics in your book. You're cutting off half your audience no matter which way you go.
Exactly.
And if you're like me and you hate both parties, you're going to cut everybody out. So, don't put it in your books unless you're writing a political book. And, that's History Press. The only books that are their bestsellers that aren't written by politicians are us, the ghost writers, the paranormal writers. And they will tell you that. And that's because they're not political. And that's so that's my only advice on that. If you have a problem, write about something political, just don't write it. Skip that story, skip that thing. If there's something you don't like in your religion, you don't have to write about it. You can turn off this show. You don't like that I think Ghost Adventures is a bunch of hooey because I know the magicians who do some of their tricks. That's fine. Don't listen to Eerie Travels. There's a million other podcasts out there you can listen to. And that's all you got to do with that is just don't do it. Period.
It's so hard for some people.
That's true. Some people you gotta.
It's so hard.
I gotta change everybody's minds because I have a platform.
Right.
It's up to you, but good luck.
Yeah. Cyn, have you ever?
I've just had a couple of people to send in stories that my BS meter went off. And I'm like, I can't include that. But it's only happened a couple of times as far as somebody sending something in. But it was a big no way. There's this didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Yeah. And Anton is one of our regular listeners. Welcome to the show. He did say that it's probably Spock's ears that you weren't allowed to watch Star Trek.
Yeah, probably the eyebrows and the ears. That's probably it. I think more was because the girls were pretty scantily clad and they thought I was a little too young for it. But I think that was more the reason.
So, quick question from: is there a topic or location that you absolutely refuse to write about, or on the other hand, is there one that you hope to write about someday?
I hope to write about all of them. I want to go to all of them and have an experience. But
I haven't been overseas since the 90s, early 90s. So I'd like to go back because there were a bunch of places I missed that I didn't know about back then because it was pre-internet days. So I didn't know some of these places were haunted and I was right there. I'm like, it's the island over there. Bavaria, the island where everybody was sent to die. I would have loved to write about it and research it. I've done research, but like I said, I don't write about any place I haven't been. And that's a thing for me. I hate reading. I call them Wikipedia authors because they're writing about these places. And I'm like, I've been to that place. That's not at all what they're describing. And it's not at all what happened there. And I know, they looked it up on some other YouTube or TikTok or Wikipedia article. And it's like, no. You completely ruined that book for me. I can't read any of the rest of your stuff you wrote because you did that. And I never want to do that. I write about where I've been.
Yeah.
And so there's a few places like that, but Bavaria, that's my bucket list. And a place I refuse to write about, there's a couple, but I'm not going to name them here.
Mhm.
But that, again, it's because they've got some dark history that I can't prove. And so it's, this guy was lynched here. This guy was murdered here, but there's no record of him. There's no record of the murder. There's no record of anything. There's not even real spooky stories that fit it. So it's just like, okay, that just goes on the pile for maybe someday I'll stumble on it. So.
Yep.
And I think when it comes to people relying on sources like Wikipedia, a lot of these places like museums and historical places, they want to share their story. So if you contact them, chances are they're going to respond and give you the story. Mm-hmm. So relying on Wikipedia and articles that, you can't source properly, it should never be an excuse. If you can't travel, that's okay. Contact them.
Yeah, archivists are your friends.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, archivists are your best friends. They will love writing. They will love sharing their information, and they will love editing your book. You could send them a copy, and they will send you their edits of what they think should be changed. And it's great. I'm like, it's a free alpha reader. But also, besides archivists, the librarians. Oh my gosh, it's your second best resource. Just contact a librarian and say, hey, what have you got in this area? I'm learning about this book. I'm sure you've got something local. Boom. They're happy to go down the rabbit hole for you. They're just
they will. I've had a librarian call me twice in a day, and she's like, I found something else for you. They love that stuff. That's why they work in a library.
They'll find the pictures that have never been published in some collection that they've got in the back room. So
yeah. When I was writing my Lighthouse book, I just had knee replacement surgery. So about the last 25% of the book, I was laid up in bed, but I was emailing on the phone. And that's how I finished that one. Yeah.
I mean, if you can't go there physically, at least you're there talking to people, boots on the ground.
Right.
That's the other thing. At least you're there with somebody. It's not you're reading a book from 20 years ago about a place that has been bulldozed since 2000, and you're like, okay, that's probably not a good thing to write about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Heather, did you have one?
I'm looking at my list. Yeah, I still have a long list. I know we're not going to get to them, so I'm trying to pinpoint which ones to.
Robin just asked, could AI help? No, I would not recommend it for historical research. I really would. You might get lucky with a few things, but it is not reliable in that sense. And I'm old school, and that's just my personal opinion.
It can lead you down the wrong rabbit hole every time because it'll get a name confused. It'll get a date confused. That's also like Wikipedia, just as bad because it's also referencing Wikipedia half the time. And sometimes that's wrong. It's if you're trying to write paranormal history, paranormal fiction, I still don't like it, but I understand the tool. Could be of help to people who don't have other ways to do it. But I mean, you might as well just grab something. I love this. A friend of mine recommended is the Cthulhu cards or just some story generating cards. They're just as useful as freaking AI. Just grab a random card, say, oh, it's a setting. There's a setting. I'll do a writing exercise there. Writing exercise books. Those work too. They can make your brain do some connections you didn't think about. But there's AI it's a tool. But just remember, it needs a lot of help. It's still early days. Yeah. Someday, 20 years from now, it could be something completely. Mark 20 years ago would have told you internet was useless. Because it was just coming out, and it was AOL.
Everybody said, I had so many teachers say, don't rely on the internet. It's going to go away.
Yeah. It's a bad. But now I'm also like, don't listen to TikTok. Because people reading AI and AI making AI, and it's like, okay, we're going down rabbit holes that aren't real. But that's also when you're doing folklore, like I said, there's 5 mansions that say the Mistletoe Bride are there. That's Wikipedia is going to tell you which ones they think it is, and then AI is going to tell you, okay, this one's it. And again, it's probably none of that's true. But so that's the problem with that.
And then she asked, could AI help in writing your books? Again, it's a tool. So the only thing I would say it could possibly help with is an outline, but you're putting in the information. You're putting in the details and say, I need an outline. This part, these details go to chapter 1. How am I going to organize it? That's the only way I would even recommend using AI for writing any kind of book. It's a tool. It should not be doing it for you. It's a tool.
Exactly. And I know a couple of people that are actually using it to write books.
Yeah. I do too. Yeah.
I don't like that.
They're usually pretty terrible too. Right.
It's to the point where Amazon, and Cyn, you know this because you're an indie author, Amazon is actually not pushing new releases because of AI. So at first they had to start they put a limit on how many books you can publish per month. I think they capped it at 30. That was the last number I heard, Cyn.
It's crazy.
But people like Mark, people were putting out 10 books a day. It was ridiculous.
Crazy.
And so now they're not pushing new releases. They're pushing older books because of AI.
Yeah, no, back in the day.
You still have to put in, is there any part of this that is AI? Yeah. Any part of this? And you've got to say yes or no.
Yeah. And there was the only thing I suggest AI for is making your playlist that you write to, because they can recommend some good things. And that would be all I'd use AI for. But also, it's good for making schedules.
Yes,
so,
I've done that with my schedule.
Writing time. It's also good for recipes for snacks while you're eating. While you're writing.
There's a place for everything. There's a place for everything, but it should not replace your creativity.
No.
Right.
If you choose to be a writer, then you're a writer.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, and everybody's afraid AI is going to destroy careers for writers and stuff like that. It's going to be tough, but also there are people who still do blacksmithing. There are people who still blow glass. There are people who still knit chainmail. And niche, there's people who still do oil painting, even those digital art. There's always going to be the need for the human touch and the human creativity. It's never going to completely go away. But that said, it's going to interfere. I mean, I remember my artist friends were freaking out when digital art became a thing. That's not real art. I had some animator friends who were like, well, 3D computer animation isn't going to replace what I do. Guess what? They're both now work for Amazon as drivers. But they still do that on the side. They still draw things and all that, but they had to change their career paths. And so that may happen for us writers. I hope not, but it's on the wall. The genie is out of the bottle. So 100 books a day. I could see that easily from some AI machine.
It's changed the way we have to market because I mean, Cyn, I kind of left the whole author world in terms of following stuff because it was just too much. As you know, it can just be so overwhelming sometimes. And now I'm dipping my toe back into it, because I'm getting ready to hopefully release a book soon. So I need to know what's happening. And people are kind of freaking out because they're like, well, we can't rely on Amazon because there are people who 2-3 years ago, they were making a full living income off of Amazon, and now they're not. Simply because it's impossible to market over there now. So it's changed the whole dynamic in how we go about marketing and where are we going to offer our books and things like that. So, it's there's what is it? Gary Vee, he's always said, innovate or die. And so, you just have to kind of roll with it and say, okay, well, I'm still a creator. I'm still an author. How am I going to work with what is happening in the world? And you will see that the people who don't, Mark, who are not willing to do that, they're the ones who are kind of weeded out. But the ones who do, who find a way to kind of work with what's happening in technology, are the ones who are able to still kind of move on and move forward with it.
I mean,
So.
we've watched that for generations. The vaudeville actors got killed by silent movies. Silent movies got killed by the talkies. Talkies got killed by the color. Color got killed by TV. But there's still people making silent movies, still people making color movies, still people making TV. It just evolves, and that's you just gotta adapt or die, like you said. It sucks, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, and slowly people are recognizing all of this, because prior to my having to go work full time out of the house, I was a freelance writer. I wrote blogs for people. I did content. AI came out over a 6-month period. I went from making $100 an hour to enough to sustain a full-time income to nothing. Yep. And I was like, crap, what am I going to do? But now I have my clients reaching back out to me saying, hey, I know we used AI, but can you edit what we've written on AI now? So now I've like transformed from
AI can't edit.
To editing for them.
Yeah.
Triple dash everywhere.
Yeah, they're slowly coming back.
Yep.
No, and we're still in the early days of AI. It's going to get better, gang, and it is.
Yes, it will.
It will start doing better things, and
we just have to get smarter.
You all
and not get lazy.
I'm sure you got that letter saying History Press is selling our books to a vetted AI company for training. Yep. And if you don't want to, sign this form, but it's probably already stolen and out there. And then that whole lawsuit that I forget what company settled, New York Times was part of that. And you went to their site, you put your name in. Sure enough, 5 of my books were on there, and I signed the settlement. We'll see. And well, it's coming no matter what you do. So
yeah, I got that letter and I was like, what the heck, is already out there, so I might as well get compensated for it.
Yeah, I'll take that money. I'll take that money.
Yep. Okay, so quick question. What is your favorite underrated haunted location that you feel deserves more attention?
Oh man, there are so many good ones there. So many good ones. I highly recommend picking up Dark Side of the Smoky Mountains, available from fine retailers anywhere. It is full of underrated haunted locations. No, there are so many. I love holler stories, or where it's the little meemaw peepaw stories deep in the hollers. When we did Erie, Appalachia, it was 2020, and we did the whole Appalachian Trail, and we drove most of it, but we walked a good portions of it, and we would talk to these families that had these stories that were so creepy and so unusual. Cryptids, like Mothmans that haven't popped, right? Just weird things. Like the one, my family bench leg story, is just one of those great stories. There's an area. The problem is it's technically private property still. It's in Olive Hill, Kentucky. It's called the Mushroom Mines. And it was a limestone quarry, limestone mines just dug right into the mountain. 2 miles of tunnels going down under these mountains and they bumped into the Mammoth Cave system when they got deep enough. And talk about like Moria from Lord of the Rings, right? You couldn't get more like that. Wow. And then it closed when the railroad tracks moved away and they didn't need limestone anymore. So it became a place where they grew mushrooms in the 50s and 60s, because look, it's dark, it's dank, and it's giant because it was built for semis to drive through these 2 miles of tunnels, and incredible and super spooky. And there's cult activity there from the 70s. There are murders that happen there. It's became like a place for kids to go and camp in the night, to go down to the lake that's in there, and all these other places. Crazy stories, creatures, everything you could want, ghosts, all the stuff. And the company that owns it is trying to sell it to make it a like an underground place, like where they do the caverns, where they have concerts and they have events, because it's perfect for it. It's not a safe place to go because they've had collapses down there, especially the deeper parts. But the early parts of it, you can go up to. You can walk up to it. You can walk in that first little bit, because that's technically public property. You just can't go deep in. And my hope is that somebody picks it up, kind of like the Conjuring House or some other house like that where they pick it up and make it a public accessible explore. Let's document it. Let's make it safe. Let's close off the areas where there's pits and where they cave collapses and all that. I would love that place to get some love because it's epic. It's mythic. And you go in there, every hair on your arm is standing up saying, get out. And I want to know why.
Yeah.
So besides the murders and the cult activity, there's something else going on. Come on.
Right. Okay. How about you, Cyn?
The only place I can think of that it's actually not being talked about, and I wonder if there's anything to it. A friend of mine pointed it out to me. The area around Huntsville, Alabama, on the mountains surrounding Huntsville, there are pyramid-shaped points.
Oh, I didn't hear. I didn't know that.
Different mountain areas. Some strange things have happened around them. People missing, just strange happenings. So I'm just wondering, I don't know really how to go about finding out, because some of these areas are, of course, in government area and you can't get to them. So I guess, conspiracy theory here.
Yep.
I would like to be involved in that.
I think you and Heather have to go out there and start interviewing some people.
Yep.
What a great idea.
And go visit Hug and Molly out there. Hug and Molly's not too far from Huntsville, and she's one of my favorite legends. Giant ghost spirit that hugs you. Come on.
Oh, wow.
I love her.
Terrified of her.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, everybody's terrified of just one town. I think they have I think it's Abbeville, but they have she's home of Hug and Molly, and got this crazy lady chasing kids on the front of it. Looks like the Ring, and that's their city sign. I love it.
Wow.
Alabama's got some great stories. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm not far from Alabama. Just saying.
We had one location. We had one location in Southern Nevada. Unfortunately, they never wanted to be known as haunted, but we used it as a training ground. Our team out there would go and we would train every month. We'd have our team meetings there, but they give tours to children. So of course they didn't want parents and families to know that they were haunted, but we had everything from apparitions of Mormon settlers to a dark shadow figure that was 6-7 feet tall, time slips. It's just tons of stuff. And we actually captured, it's an EVP, and we had the digital voice recorder was at least 6 to 8 feet away from any investigator. And it was in a dinosaur themed room with bones and eggs and fossils and a whole bunch of stuff. And we actually captured what can only be explained as a dinosaur growl.
nice.
Oh,
It was a weird guttural growl howl thing, and nobody was. So it's like, oh, it was your stomach. Well, no, it was too far away to pick up a stomach. It's not like I was holding it here. But yeah, it's so interesting. The history of the location used to be an old Mormon settlement, so you have that history. And we even had EVPs. We asked, like, who's the current president? And we actually got Warren Jeffs as an EVP. And, the other investigators was like, oh, no, that's not the president. I'm like, well, knowing the history location, I'm like, this used to be, up until, it was a recent Mormon settlement. So it was a new building.
Yeah.
I'm like, I go, as far as the Mormons knew, Warren and Rulon were the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That was what they were
So,
trying.
but yeah.
That's why history is so important in paranormal investigations.
Mhm.
We were
Yep.
the May Stringer house. We were in there and they kept getting Murphy, these things about Murphy. And there's no Murphy family in the May Stringer house. The Mays, the Stringers, and maybe some of these artifacts. I'm like, yeah, we're in the military room. And they're like, what? I'm like, you see all this World War II stuff? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, Camp Murphy was where everybody in Florida trained before they went overseas. And it's where all this stuff is from. And none of them, the paranormal team, have been there 100 times and had no idea.
Wow.
Get a historian, get a folklore person into your ghost hunting teams. They will help.
Yeah. And I've always been a big person. I say research the location before you go. But so many paranormal researchers are like, no, because I want to go in blind. I don't want to know anything to influence it. I'm like, well, you can go in blind, but I'm going in knowing the history 100% because that has helped on so many investigations, knowing what the property was, 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Let your psychics go in blind, but somebody needs to know their stuff. Yes.
Yeah, we always have at least 2 people on our team who have done extensive research before we go in.
Any place you go, especially private homes and stuff like that. We get a lot of emails that we can't put on the show. I can't put in a book, but because I've been Mr. Erie, Florida for a decade and a half now, people send me emails saying, hey, I got a problem. I need somebody to look into this. Private places that we can never publish. We got a place that's rivals Skinwalker Ranch as far as I'm concerned. It's in Ocala. It's got big footprints. It's got ghosts. It's got people waking up in the middle of the night and seeing time slips again. And they're seeing themselves outside and clones, doppelgangers, and everything you can possibly imagine. We can't talk about it. We can't put anywhere near it because it's where they train $1 million horses and they get jockeys from all over the world. That's the reason they were having us investigate. It's because some of these jockeys were reporting weird stuff and they needed it documented. And but if that ever comes out, they're going to lose everything. So but then there's the opposite where some of these hotels and places like Casadega never wanted anything bad or ghosts or anything for forever, but then Ghost Adventures, Ghost Brothers, Ghost Hunters becomes the top television shows, and suddenly they're like, oh yeah, the ghosts were here all the time, we just had them locked in this hotel room. You're spending money, come on in, we like money. And that's happening too, because now every town has a ghost tour. Every town has that. But you also got to watch out for the big companies that come into these towns and find your local ghost tour. The chains are fine, but just remember, again, reality versus entertainment. They're going to tell you ghost stories that, oh, this takes place in Savannah, but we're going to tell it to you in St. Augustine. This place in Key West, but we're going to tell you in Orlando. But if you get the local tours with the local hosts, the local experts, usually history press authors, a lot of them are ghost tour hosts. And they'll give you the good stories. They'll give you the local stories. They'll give you the real stuff. And that's what you want. Yeah,
those big companies don't like when I go on their tours because I still go on the tours just to see what's going on.
You want to see if they got something.
And I'm sitting there like, no, that's not true. That's not true.
My daughter, oh my gosh. So when I first joined Georgia Paranormal, we were investigating a place not too far from here, and I decided to take the family down there because it's a really cool property. So the next weekend I took the whole family down and we did like the whole tour just to give the kids kind of a taste of, a piece of Southern history and everything, because they've never been to like a big old estate and mansion and stuff. And it was really cool for them. And so we're doing the tour and the lady's talking about the Civil War. And my daughter looks at her and she goes, that date's wrong. That's not when it happened. And she ignored her. And so I go, she's right.
Yeah. This
was a lady giving the tour. And I'm like, I look at my husband. I was like, okay, maybe we should go. Because I was like, this isn't good. This isn't good. I don't want to hear anything else that you have to say.
You talk as a writer, as a podcast host, as when you're on the documentaries, you have expert tattooed on your forehead when you're talking, when you're writing. And the minute you say something wrong, that gets wiped off your forehead, and they will never listen to another thing you say. They'll never look at another book you write. They'll never, like we said, you just misspoke. You may have. I have that problem every week. I have epilepsy brain, so I have a little bit of leeway when it comes to making new memories, I have problems with that. I can't remember people's names. I can't remember where I met them. I try my best, but I can remember old stuff.
Yeah.
But that's, so I'm good at that, but then I'll get dates confused and all that, but I'll say,
And that's okay. We all do.
then. Yeah. I
But
think
admit
it's
to it.
and all that. But if you're passing yourself off as an expert, you better have it 100% right. That's all you can
And
say.
if you make a mistake, stop and say, oh yeah, I was mistaken, and make the correction. Don't keep going because you think she's a kid and she's not going to catch on. Yeah.
I was talking I was on a YouTube video with some vloggers. Never underestimate the power of vloggers to sell books and do all that. If they come up to you at a bookstore, at a book event, talk to them. It's great. Let them film you. But I took a couple of them on a tour of the Smoky Mountains. We went over to Cades Cove, and we're driving by, and I had just gotten a report that they had let some wild horses loose into Cades Cove to blend with the regular horses that they use for rides on Wednesdays. And we were driving by, and they're filming, and I said, oh, this might be some of the wild horses. And in the YouTube video they cut, it just says wild horses. And so all these people were saying, he's calling the riding horses wild horses. And I was like, oh God, I just, editing is bad. Editing is bad. That's what happens on these shows, gang. I did a interview with a show in Germany about Spook Hill, about gravity hills. And it was a weird thing. I did like 30 minutes talking with these German guys about gravity hills in Florida. And I forgot about it. It was years ago. And then suddenly my daughter calls and a bunch of people start calling me. I'm on Ancient Aliens. And I'm like, what? I never filmed anything for Ancient Aliens. They used a minute of that from that interview and put me on an Ancient Aliens episode. And it's completely chopped up, where I was like, there are some places all over the world that think they have these gravity hills. They can usually be figured out by a level. They're usually an optical illusion. But there are some that have some unusual properties. I think that was the quote. And then they cut it to, well, there are weird places all over the world. And that these gravity places are all over, these weird places of gravity are all over the world. They cut all the other context out. And Jeff Wamsley, who runs the Mothman Museum up in Point Pleasant, he had one where he was doing an interview with them, and he was talking about, now some people say Mothman is evil, but some people say he's just an omen of bad things. But we like to think that he's just around and trying to warn people. And then the quote was, Mothman is evil. That's
Yeah. And we have one documentary crew that we absolutely love, but I called them out on it once. We were filming and they had me use dowsing rods once. And we got no results with the dowsing rods, and they were usually pretty good about not sharing if we didn't get evidence. They just, but they asked me, can you show us how dowsing rods would technically work? So I put my thumb on it and I said, if they answer yes, I want them to open it. If they say no, I want them to close it. And I use my thumbs to show how to use them. Well, then they edited it just showing my hands with my thumbs on it, but then my voice asking questions previously.
Oh, no.
And everyone was calling me, you're using your thumbs. Yeah, I'm like, no, that's
that's not okay. That's not cool.
Yeah, no, I consulted on Ghost Adventures for a few episodes as their folklore and historian, and did one on Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum up in West Virginia. It's an amazing location. If you ever get a chance, that's
it's on my list. Yeah,
bucket list.
It's amazing, and they're restoring it. They're using the money from tours and stuff to restore it, and it's beautiful. I love that all the volunteers there wear the old nurses outfits and stuff. Oh man, it's gold. But again, walking in there, scary stuff. But I told them, okay, this is the ghost. They had me write in a whole document about all the history. That way the ghost shows work is we write these. They have a local of expert write in, and I'm not an expert by any stretch of anything. I'm an enthusiast, but I wrote this stuff in, and they ignored it completely. There is nothing in that episode that uses anything. And what's great is you go there now for a tour, and the nurses, the tour guides will tell you, okay, this is the room where the Ghost Adventures found their ghost, and this is where they found the thing. But our ghost is over here. At least they acknowledge. So it's just, again, reality versus entertainment.
Yeah.
Mm.
So with that, do you guys believe that writers have a responsibility to shift paranormal storytelling away from fear mongering and perhaps more toward curiosity? Yeah.
That's 100% what I do. I like I said, I love it. Preternatural stuff we don't understand yet. I want to understand it. Duke University had their parapsychology department. It's now become the Stein Institute. It's amazing that they're still doing classes on this, and they're still doing that. But one of the classes they teach is the skeptic class to teach you how to be skeptical, open-minded but skeptical. And that's what you got to do with this, is you have to go in open mind, but remember there's always possible, not every sound is a demon, and not everything.
Right.
We had one family email us that they were hearing voices in the walls, they were hearing strange noises and all this stuff, strange humming sound. We sent a team, because that's what we do. We sent a team out, a paranormal team, and sure enough, they had a beehive in their walls, a giant beehive in their walls. It was making all kinds of weird noises. It was affecting everything. So they got it taken care of. And then another weird thing, they had possum in their ceiling, and it was making caterwauls and stuff like that. So always eliminate the reality, the possibles, and then you can start talking about that. But that's on the investigative side. But as you're writing, you do want to entice people to read it. You want them to be excited about it. You want to tell the dark story. You want to tell the spooky story. You want them on the edge of their seat going, oh, what happens next? But then also put in and this could all just be folklore. This could all just be, as long as you throw that in there, somewhere, it's good. Especially if it's not 100% documented, and all that.
That's why I love writing fiction.
Yeah, then whatever.
Yeah.
I know I commonly use according to local legend.
Yes. Yeah.
Always good. Yeah. So, from what
that's
people
perfect.
say.
Right.
How about you, Cyn?
I always tell people to do your best to try to figure out any possible solution that could have caused what just happened. Anything possible at all. And if you have thrown everything out, then you might have something paranormal.
Yep. That's the key word, might. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And paranormal doesn't mean ghosts, right?
Yep. 90% can be explained easily.
Yeah.
There's a reason why not everybody sees. And I still think there's some people are, like we always say, some people are more in tune and all that. We don't know 100% how we see or how we hear, because animals see in different spectrums. And that's why animals are always, well, what's that? And all that. So maybe some people are more in tune to see things. Some people can't taste cilantro. They think it tastes like soap. There's that one pitch that we grow out of. We can hear till we're like 17, and then it just goes away. That's part of this, is we're hearing things or seeing things that we can't, and we grow out of them. Some people don't. And that's why some people see it. Like I said, the four of us saw the thing at the bellhop in the hallway. One person didn't. We're all right there. Why were they on a different wavelength? So that's exactly, we don't understand this stuff. We hope we do someday. We don't right now. We'd love it to be studied more, but there's no money in it right now.
Yeah.
So that's why they don't throw money into it. And holistic medicine is just now starting to come back a little bit. And that was all shut down by Kellogg and the Vanderbilts because they didn't want competition. They were like, oh no. And, Duke University's parapsychology lab, the only reason it lasted and the other ones didn't, because it was the only one that was independently funded, because the Vanderbilts funded everything else and they cut down anything that was spooky and all that because they didn't want it. And that's why they funded Harvard and Yale, and everybody just cascaded from that. So it's, again, history, you find out, okay, everybody shut this down. Why?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep. Okay. So one quick question I do have before we start wrapping things up here soon is, if you could interview any historical figure about their ghost story, about their paranormal experiences, to include in one of your books, who would it be?
Oh,
I got to go with Teddy Roosevelt, who supposedly had a story about a Bigfoot in one of his journals. He didn't personally encounter it, but he talked to somebody who did, and so he chronicled it. And I would love to be the fly on the wall when that conversation happened, and I would love to talk to him about that. That would be my bucket list.
awesome. I think mine would have to be Sarah Winchester.
Mm-hmm.
What, lady, tell me, what did you do in your seances? What were the questions you asked? I want to hear all of it. I want to hear about everything you dreamed, all of the above.
Have you been to the Winchester House in?
Yes, yes. And I want to
Isn't
go
it
back.
amazing?
So amazing. Yes.
That the seance room is amazing there. Yeah, that's
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's where we need to host a ghost ed episode. I've never been there. That's like one place I want to get to.
fun.
I think if I know anybody out there who I can call.
No, I know for me it would be Lincoln and Mary Todd. I want to know about their supernatural, their spiritual, when they delved into spiritualism with the Fox sisters, and when that all was all coming about, and especially when they tried to communicate with their dead son.
Yeah.
I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah. I forgot about that story.
No, Fox Sisters is incredible stuff.
That
when
would
you
be
read about it.
amazing.
Yeah, and the one thing I find interesting is they founded spiritualism on What's My Birthday.
Oh,
So I've always thought there was a connection there, but that's just, the whole paranormal all comes back around.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Wow, I've never been asked that question before.
Hope I got your gears turning.
You really do. I've never been asked such a deep question before.
Come on, Tiffany.
I know. Hold on. There's like
We're all
so
on the
many
edge of
people
our
running
seat
in my head.
here.
What was that?
So we're all on the edge of our seat here.
I know.
waiting.
It's probably not going to be that interesting.
I had somebody answer that. I'd like to talk to Richard III to see if he really can kill his nephews. And I'm like, okay, we learned that's a lot of propaganda, and it probably didn't happen. But
can you imagine talking to Henry VIII, his view on women?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That'd be great.
Oh my gosh.
Robin knows someone, so
ask her.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Go ahead, Robin, share it.
Who is it, Robin? Give her a minute to
but I will say that if you can't figure out something, I will save this question to ask you on our next Ask Us Anything show.
There you go.
Okay, awesome.
Get a little bit to think about it. There you go.
Yep.
I'm still thinking though.
Mary Shelley. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That'd
good
be
one.
That'd be good.
I would say Bram Stoker, but we can ask his great grandnephew next week.
That's
awesome.
true. That's
Awesome.
true. That's true.
Okay, so we have about 15 minutes. Do you have any other questions, Tiffany, before we start wrapping things up?
I have. Let's see. Oh yeah, I do. I have something under publishing. What are some common mistakes that you see new paranormal writers make, whether it be querying or self-publishing? Nikola Tesla is another good one. Yeah.
He had some cool paranormal stuff. The weird voices he was hearing on the radio that he made when nobody else had a radio. So what is he picking up? Pretty sure it was EM Fields, but still, it's very crazy because you can make a Tesla radio, you'll pick up some weird stuff. But from the publishing side, what the big key is if you're gonna self-publish, remember you're doing all the work. You are the editor, you are the promoter, you are the marketing, you are having to go to every convention you can go to and sit at the table and push your book, and 99% of people are just going to walk by you and not care. Just be ready for that.
Yep.
If you you think I'm going to self-publish because I can't handle rejection, you're going to do nothing but rejection. Just be ready for that. If you can deal with that, you're good. I self-published a couple books for our haunted house back in the day, back in the early days of self-publishing, but we had a built-in audience. We sold them at the haunted house. I never tried selling them the rest of the year. And guess what? They didn't sell another copy except at that haunted house. For History Press, I approached them. Well, actually, they approached me because of my haunted house book. They were like, "Oh, could you do a true story version of this?" Oh, hell yeah, I can do that. And that was great. And again, you've got an editor, you've got a publicist, you've got people helping you. It's so much easier. You make less per book, but you're going to sell a lot more books. And that's really the key. If you think about that. Now, again, I kind of outgrew History Press, so I went looking for other publishers. I've got Bain doing one for me that I'm on contract for, that we're in the middle of writing, which is nice being with a traditional publisher. I'm doing one with Four Horsemen, and that one we did, Dark Side of Smokies, is doing really well, which is really nice. And that one, they opened us up more. So learn your publisher's role too, because sometimes they don't want, like History Press didn't let me put in goofy places to eat and goofy places to sleep that were horror themed. They had to be history themed. They cut all that out.
Yeah.
So History Press book this big, new book that big.
Yeah.
Because we got to put a lot more craziness in it, and that's fun because new publisher was willing to take a chance with us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only things. Just be careful. There are fake publishers out there. If it's a prestige publisher that's charging you money, it's not a publisher.
They call them vanity publishers.
Vanity press. Whatever.
Be careful with that.
Yeah, don't.
If they want to charge you money for them to edit and sell your book, don't do it.
Yeah, if there are paid editors, that's good. That is vet them, find out who they edited, and proof that they edited it.
Right.
But your best bet, again, just write it. Get a couple friends to read it. Spread your net. Teachers are great. If you have friends with some English teachers, they will love to, alpha read and they will correct your writing quite a bit.
Yes, they will.
And then send it off to a publisher and an editor, and you'll be a lot happier. But that's just my early takes on that. But just it's right for some people, it's not right for others.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of time, if you're going with a query agent, like if you're going fiction, your query agent will also act as your editor in the beginning, and then they'll help sell to the publisher. They'll help find a publisher and help you do the contract and everything. So.
And again, they make their money from selling your stuff, so don't pay them in advance unless you've got a good contract for that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than do your research on all the companies, as far as traditional publishing or self-publishing, do all of your research on both. And unless you are independently wealthy, do not quit your job.
Yeah, you will not.
To be a writer. Don't do it.
No.
You're not going to be rich.
You wouldn't believe how many people asked me if we were like living the rich life when I released my first book. I'm like, I didn't do this to make money. No. I did it because I had a story in me for over 10 years that I wanted to put out into the world. Yeah.
I still don't make a lot of money. I'm on book 7 and I still don't make them. I found that when I can speak in front of people, I can sell more books.
Yeah.
And if you have a niche, like my niche has become signs from the afterlife, talking about stories of our relatives coming back, even pets that show up out of the blue, or signs like butterflies, cardinals, a smell of perfume or cologne, a special song that comes on just at that perfect time for you. All those kind of things. I've just started speaking at all of the different Paracons I'm asked to now. And I am so blessed to be able to stand in front of people and talk. Until I was 30 years old, I could not talk in front of people.
Yeah.
So now, 30 years later, I can talk about anything in front of anybody, and it will sell better books. It will sell more books. Yeah. At Goblin Con, it was the first year for Goblin Con in Hopkinsville this year.
Yep.
And I sold 4 books on Friday. After I talked the next day, I sold 14.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
even 4. That's why I smiled when you said 4, because that's a lot.
I was so excited. I was so excited with 4. But when I talk about the signs, that's when they'll come buy that book about signs from beyond.
100%. Anywhere you can talk, you got to talk. And if you're not a talker, get somebody who is to promote your book. You know, and make them your partner, because Dragon Con, the only time we sell books is right after we do a panel, and
it doesn't have to be a big conference. I got asked by the Rotary Club in my hometown, and
Rotary
I was
clubs,
thrilled.
Yacht clubs are money, man. Yacht clubs are money. So, and the Paracons are great because they're your audience. You can go to MegaCon or Dragon Con. At least Dragon Con has tracks. You can get on the paranormal track and do really well there and stuff like that. But if you go to like MegaCon, you're author table, you're in a sea of hundreds of thousands of vendors.
Yeah.
There's 50,000 people a day coming through there, but how many of them are there for your type of book? How many of them are even going to find you? But if you do a panel there, guess what? Those people are going to come down and find you. But if you're at a Paracon, only 500 people, 100 people show up. But they're there because they're your audience and they are going to buy your books. So, don't expect to sell a ghost book at a romance con, and don't expect to sell a mystery book at a paranormal con.
Don't discount it though either. Don't discount it though either.
Oh no, you can carry them. But and if somebody likes your stuff, they'll buy everything you do. And that's the beauty of when you have multiple books, people will come up and just buy your whole set. And that's the ones you go, you're my new favorite fan. And please take time to sign your books with people. Don't just scribble.
Talk to them.
Something personal. Ask everybody's name. Ask how to spell it. I got a Carol with a Queryl. So
you carry these and you ask them to write it so you don't misspell. Yes.
Great too. And write something, just something more than just signing your name. Give them a little something. That way they treasure it always. And that way it's something they'll remember a little more. And if they say, oh, don't just sign it, then just make it out to eBay. Love Mark. I
have one lady in my hometown. I love her so much. She worked at the newspaper for years, and she's still at the circulation desk. But she came in, and she'll say, "Now, Cyn, to make this out to your most loved fan of all time." Yes, Berta, I will write that right now. Right now.
I love that. I always tell people, I say, get up, stand up from the table, and talk to every single body that walks by the table that you possibly can. You wouldn't believe how many people started walking by my table, and as soon as I say just like, hey, how are you, or I like your bag, or oh, I know that author, she's great, because you see them carrying one of the books or something, just spark a conversation. They turn around, they come look at your table, and you start talking about your book. But if you're sitting behind the table just like this and you're looking up at everybody, they're not making that connection. You have to stand up. And the only time you should be sitting is when you're actively signing.
Yes.
And most of the time, I would just stand and do it.
But don't carnival bark either when you get those.
No,
hey,
there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. Yeah.
There's a balance there, because if they're not interested in your book, don't try to wrangle them over. And especially paranormal books, the people who want you are going to find you. They're going to see you. They're going to come across the room because they saw you. And again, if you can speak, they'll come find you. So that's great.
Yeah. And a friend of mine, she started doing this, and I'm actually going to start doing it when I do book signings at events, is she takes whatever book she wants to promote at that event, and she has what she calls a guest copy. So while she's autographing her book for the guests, she has them autograph that one. And then she dates it with the date and the convention she was at with everybody who bought a book from her.
That's great.
Pretty cool.
Autograph.
That's nice.
And I'm like, I'm going to start doing that whenever I do something.
Yeah,
That's nice.
that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Mhm.
And give them something. I always had, like, I would always have like a bookmark. Just like have a
Yeah.
bookmark with you. Have stickers.
Even
Just
just
give
a business
give
card.
them a little something. A pen.
Yeah.
Pens are really cheap to have.
I have
to
little
have,
spell jars.
in. Yeah.
Spell
Just
jars.
give
Yeah,
them
if you got
something.
something unique,
with-
boom.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, well, we have 3 minutes. Wow, time went by fast. So basically, if there are any projects you guys want to share that you're working on and let people know where they can find you and how they can support you, now's the time.
Go ahead, Cyn.
You can find me, Cyn Shrader Hill author, on Facebook and all of the others. My books are on Amazon right now, about to go with Ingram Sparks as well. Just haven't done that yet.
Nice.
But check out my page. Check also out Elk Valley Paranormal. You can go to the website elkvalleyparanormal.com, look at our evidence, listen to those EVPs I was talking about from the third book. And just, if you've got a story you would love for me to maybe consider putting in another book, Cyn Shrader Hill author at gmail.com.
Awesome.
Mark?
And I'm Erie Travels, erietravels.com. You can link to our podcast. We're on twice a week. We tell ghost stories and interview Bigfoot hunters, ghost hunters, UFO hunters, all the things. Our newest book was Dark Side of the Smoky Mountains, came out last August, available in fine Cracker Barrels all throughout the Smoky Mountains, as well as online, of course, erietravels.com. My older books are History Press, lots of those, Erie, Appalachia, Erie, Florida, Creepy Florida, Freaky Florida. And then I finally got out of the state. And again, you can find those anywhere that books are sold. We love it if you go to your mom and pop bookstore and order a book. They can get it same from us. They get it from Ingram. They get it from all the usual places. So we prefer you get it from a local store. Get it from them.
Mhm.
Avoid the big A. And that's, and again, tune in. We'd love to hear you, and we will see you on the other side.
Definitely. And we will make sure I'm creating an album on our page that has all of our past guests with all of their social media, emails, and websites. So you guys will find those there, hopefully for the end of the year, the way things are going. But anything else that you need to share, Tiffany? Or
No, that's it. We have who's up next week?
Decker Stoker.
Oh,
Yes.
I wasn't sure. I
have him on once a year. And
I was like, I'm
forward
pretty
to
sure
this.
that's you.
Yep, I love him to death. He has
He's
helped me
awesome.
with a lot of things and a lot of vampire lore as well for some of the books I've written. So he's amazing. He has lots
If
of
you
information.
get him and Victoria Price together,
Yes.
they will you don't have to do anything. Just let them talk and you just step back and they will go off on every freaking bit of lore you can imagine. So
Yep. And I want to hear more about his wines. Those.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned
Yes.
that.
yeah,
Yep,
those
they're now from.
Monsterama in Atlanta last year. Oh my
Yep.
God, they're amazing.
Yep.
Awesome.
But he's very personable. I love talking to him. He's very easy to talk to. He's a great guy. But other than that, make sure you guys tune in next week. And don't forget, you could always catch us on Facebook at Ghost Education 101. We have a lot of different fun things that we post there. And our social media activity is actually ramping up now that we are actually working on different things besides just going live once a week. Don't forget our YouTube channel. You can catch the live shows every week, or you can also catch the replays as well. And I know I mention this every week, but we do have our website that's still just kind of hanging there with a
Next month we'll get it up. We'll get it up.
It's a landing page, but we're still working on it. But make sure you save that website because we are going to have some fun things there starting next year. And that's also where we're going to announce some of our fun and interesting things. Hopefully we can plan next year.
Yes.
So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but I know we're working on a lot behind the scenes.
We are.
And then just a final reminder, don't forget next week, same time, same place, and we'll see you. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and thank you two for joining us. I know
Thanks,
Sam
guys.
and Alex were not able to make it last minute, but stay tuned for next year. We will make sure we get them on. So you guys all have a great night.
Night, guys. Thanks.